Hey everybody, how we doing out there? Good afternoon, good evening, boys and girls. Doc Severson and Mav with you here, Ready, Set, Crypto. Today's Wednesday, the 20th of April. Welcome aboard. We're going to start off by seeing where you guys are coming in from. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button to get us some attention to let everybody else know that we're coming on board here. We're going to be talking to you for about the next half hour or so about all topics crypto. Mav will get us started here in just a couple of minutes with some cool things to talk about. I'll finish up the last half of the session with your requests as we go through the hour of power here at ReadySetCrypto. Where's everybody coming in from? Good afternoon, good evening. How we doing out there?
Yeah, Doc, you got to stop shouting into the mic.
Oh, yeah. Well, I get excited, I get fired up for these things. So, all right, who we got out there? We got Jonna Love the Snow coming in from the UK. And let's see, we got VOD is better. Okay, that's good. We got Melbourne, Australia. We got Digibyte Barry. Good morning. Good afternoon. Let's see, Matador. Welcome aboard. Glad to see you. Okay, let's see. Mig Checker from Germany. Outstanding. Hey, Josh, coming in from Chi-Town. Welcome aboard, folks. We'll get started here in just a minute. Mav, what's going on in your world, man?
Hey, so you guys haven't seen me in a little while, but I had the privilege of being down in Miami for the Bitcoin 2022 conference. It's the biggest crypto conference of the year, at least here in the US. So that was a lot of fun to be a part of, to see that on display and, be down in the, it's cool to see people again, it's great. And I don't think you could have walked away from that conference without, any sort of indication that crypto is some sort of, fad or, some sort of like Ponzi scheme thing or, scam or whatever. No, it's a real industry. There was real, money and technology and innovation and, just, people excited. That was so cool to see. All of that was on display and just great to be a part of, and definitely took over South Beach, Miami. Is just crypto everywhere. You saw like planes flying overhead with, they have the little like, what do you call that? Banner display that they're tugging behind them. That's got a QR code for free Bitcoin, that kind of stuff. Just crazy stuff. But, it's great to see crypto Bitcoin out there in the wild and, see people actually engaging with it and how necessary it is in this day and age. So yeah, again, that was so much fun to be a part of. And if you were there, chime into the chat below. But yeah, I think I'll be there next year as well.
No Carlos Matos sightings there?
No, he's transcended,
He's into real estate or something?
Yeah.
Hey guys, before Mav gets started here, if you guys want to start chatting in your coin requests, and I will start cataloging those, and then we'll get to our request session here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I think today's market is a little wonky, but overall, I think we are in. There's a question of, are we bearish or bullish short term? Right now, there's, I would say, confusion, maybe is the word, in the markets, at least for crypto. There's an extreme amount of fear going on right now as people are seeing things slip backwards in what has historically been a very bullish month for crypto, and especially Bitcoin. April is usually positive in some form for crypto. Last year was an exception to that because we had seen, months and months of, mostly NFT driven hype and, just lots of just general enthusiasm. But by about mid-April, towards the end of it, that started to die off. And yeah, exception to the norm. But I think this year we are in just this weird liminal space between where we want to be and where we are. Crypto is obviously still growing and it's still doing things that are very interesting. Today, we saw another futures ETF approved, and that just lays more speculation as to the potential of a Bitcoin spot ETF being approved, at which point, people like to say that the floodgates are open. Is it going to change things that much? I don't think so, but it will lay the groundwork for what is, say, the next evolution of crypto. That being better regulation, better on-ramps, better just, treating it as it should be. But until we get to that point, I think we're still in this weird space, especially here in the US, where things are growing, but it also kind of feels like they're stagnating in a lot of ways too. That's okay. I think that's what we saw between the 2017 bull run versus the 2021 one. It was when the wealth was actually created. It's when like technology, the sort of stuff that is driving the markets right now, that's when it was built. That's when it was developed. That's what we need. We need times like these where there's a pause, there's a waiting period, if you will, just to get everything back under control, get expectations, which far exceed reality sometimes. Get that all taken care of so that we can move forward in a sustainable way. If we want to be treated like an industry that is here for the long term, we have to play like that. And not everybody wants to hear that, but I think that leads us into kind of the central question of today's video and stream is, where should we be placing our emphasis on? Is it Bitcoin still, or is it into the altcoins? And to what degree of market cap risk are we incurring there? Are we talking about some of the smart contract platforms, some of the biggest altcoins? Or are we talking like those micro caps out there? I think for right now, it is definitely a Bitcoin driven market. It is definitely going to be the case that whatever sets off the next, call it bull run or whatever, is going to see Bitcoin going over 50, is going to see Bitcoin kind of leading the charge initially. Is it possible to see Bitcoin over 100K this year? Anything's possible, certainly, but it is definitely the case, I think, right now that everybody's watching kind of the more, is it going below 40 again, or is it going above 50, that kind of stuff, before we start asking those big questions about like 100K, 250K, stuff like that. But regardless, I think Bitcoin is in a solid position of established security. Again, walking away from that convention in Miami, no one was there questioning the validity of Bitcoin anymore. If you were to be skeptical of like that conference, of this industry, of this, we call it like a revolution or, just a paradigm shift of things, you're on the wrong side of things, buddy. This train is not stopping. It has left the station. And just because it doesn't look like what you want it to, it does not mean that it's inherently bad or anything like that. It's going to take time for crypto to develop and become what we want it to be. But centrally, Bitcoin has always been about financial freedom, opening the opportunities to anyone who has an internet connection, basically. So that's still on display. And I think it's more and more needed in a time like this. Altcoins, the rest of the crypto space, they are in a very different sort of category, if you will. They don't quite represent that sort of financial freedom or just that sort of ethos that Bitcoin does, even though they kind of like latch their onto that bandwagon a little bit. I think at this point right now, the rest of the crypto industry that's non-Bitcoin is more focused on solving those big issues of blockchain technology, be that scalability, be that privacy, be that ease and speed of transactions, getting those transaction fees down, things like that. We're still in that spot. People like to talk about the advents of what's going on with like DeFi, for example, or Web3, all that. But the reality of things is that the market cap of DeFi compared to the overall crypto space is still only about like 5% of the total thing. So even though it's doing really cool stuff, and even though it's a great way to make some passive and active income right now, it's still very, very in the early stages of things. Same with Web3, same with NFTs, same with metaverse type stuff. Those are coming down the road. And if you have a long-term, let's say 5 to 10 year horizon on things, and you're willing to take some risk and certainly eat some losses, that's, if you want that to be your focus, I think there's definitely room for that. And that's something we're going to continue to talk about on this channel, is how to diversify into, those sorts of projects in a meaningful way. But for right now, for what is going on in this day and age, just trying to keep your money safe from like inflation, for example, Bitcoin is doing its thing. It is still just the best bastion out there of, trying to keep you out of the fiat system, keep you away from, just the general malarkey that's going on right now. And I think it continues to be just an advocate for, getting out of the rat race and finding whatever financial freedom means to you. That's what Bitcoin represents. So where it's going, I think is better, that's Doc's realm in terms of the short term. Are we bearish or bullish? I think for where things are, I would love to see the markets turn around, but I could see a pullback just as easily possible. It's in that sort of like on the fence, just from a fundamentals perspective. But Doc, what are you seeing from the charts perspective? Maybe give us a little bit of insight as to where you think things are going, and as well as some of the coins that people have been calling out here.
Oh yeah, and one more request out there. If you guys want to see any specific coins or pairs, let me know in the chat. Just go ahead and chat in the tickers that you'd like me to take a look at here, and we'll do these really quick. Before I get into that, just something that you mentioned about just the paradigm shift, where I don't want to play the old guy card here, but I kind of have to, because the same thing was going on in 1994, where a lot of people were saying, hey, this internet thing, this is just a fad. Paul Krugman actually being one of them, thinking that it was going to be useless, apart from just, like, oh, okay, so you can light your toaster up and have some, that was the thing back then, is that a lot of people did not buy into the internet, at least initially. And I was part of that business. I was part of the private networking business. And we were seeing this freight train coming down the road, and we're like, this isn't going to stop. And I'm seeing the same thing with cryptocurrencies right now. I'm seeing a very similar parallel to this. And I think it's mostly going to be driven by the younger generation, those that are in their 20s and 30s right now, because of the way that the financial system has not worked. The legacy financial system has not worked for them. And so when they're in power, they're going to do everything possible to change that. So while it may be difficult right now, and it may be frustrating right now that we're not getting the acceptance, or we're seeing governments embrace it. It's more of like a standoff kind of thing that we're seeing from the Janet Yellens of the world. And we're seeing, the Charlie Mungers of the world are throwing shade on this. I think it's only a matter of time before those impediments go out of the way, because I've seen this before. I've seen this movie before, and I know how this is going to end. So with that in mind, let's run over and take a look at some charts here. All right, away we go. And this is my North Star. I know it. I'm always going to bring this up to you guys, because I think it really helps to have some perspective about where the charts are. So we tend to get lost in the noise. And for those of you that traded through the 2018 to 2019 to 2020, the interminable bear market, if you look at this now with some perspective and some history behind you, now you can see that this was just a big range expansion, into a parabolic high, range contraction. This was just digesting. Like when the market's going to eat that much supply, it's got to take its time to digest it before it's ready to go on the next run. And we've seen this in every financial market out there. Now we're doing the same thing again. And so we're running into the same type of consolidation. So for those who are living and dying based on what's happening from day to day, week to week, you're kind of losing sight of what's going on here. So probably you should be looking to accumulate on dips, as we've been talking about. Now, that's if you have a long-term time horizon for this. If you have a long-term time horizon, then just accumulate on dips, dollar cost average, just ignore it. Just enjoy, just hold on, and all will be revealed down the road as, when we get the next move, whatever that ends up being. I'm not going to sit there and play the game of, well, it's going to be 110,000. And so we all get into the contest to who can speculate on an imaginary number. That really doesn't matter to me. if you do not have the time horizon to that, so what you can do is you can trade. You can use this volatility to your advantage. So if we go down to something, we're going to get off the log chart here. We're going to go down to a weekly chart and see what's going on here. And what I'm seeing from a technical perspective on this is very similar to what we saw last summer. Last summer, we saw a descending triangle pattern, which everybody saw. Everybody noticed it, and all the technical chartists are out there like expecting us to go down to here. But the opposite happened. Now what we're seeing is the same thing. We're seeing a bear flag. Here's the initial flagpole. Here's the bear flag in the weekly chart. So you would expect this to be a halfway house in terms of the move. That's on paper. What should happen is we should probably come down and retest 20,000 from above. And then after that, we'd probably see an incredibly violent rebound. There should be a hell of a lot of demand down here in this area. We don't know, but more than likely that would happen. Now, this can also be driven by something which is called an exogenous event. Old Vladimir dusts off a nuke and decides to fire it at Kyiv. And, we're going to be sitting there looking at 20,000 in a heartbeat. Now, I hope that never happens. I don't expect that to happen. And in fact, what I'm starting to think that is everybody is discounting in this move. And that might mean that we're going to, shoot up here to the top of the range again, because this is just a big range like that. So again, if somebody thinks that they know exactly where this is going, I'd be very skeptical about that. Nobody knows what the future holds, but what I have learned over time is that when everybody is all convinced as a group that they know exactly what's going to happen next, usually the opposite will occur. So with that in mind, let's go over to the charts. I'm going to go to your requests here, and I've had quite a few. So the first one that came in offline, actually, from one of our Discord members was Constellation. So DAG versus Tether. And what I'm seeing here on this one is kind of the same thing. This is a big, long, ugly pattern, which we've been in since September, August or so. And so this descending pattern, this descending trend line is really holding back all of the price action. Now, what's good here is that we have a higher low. So this can have the potential of creating that short squeeze to break above here, but it's going to have to do that. So at this point, I would not accumulate. I would stay away from this one until it starts to trend higher. I'm a big fan of acquiring coins that are going higher in price, not lower in price, because I'd rather not waste time, right? I'd rather just accumulate things that are heading higher in price. Okay, so that's Constellation. And since Barry's here, this is kind of a tradition for us to go through Digibyte with Barry. And let's see, I'd say Bitfinex will do. And we got the same kind of problem here. I think we're going to see the same type of chart regardless, irrespective of where we go, of what we look at, we're going to see the same kind of thing. I did not say irregardless, but we do have a higher low here, which is good. But Digibyte's going to have to get on it. If I don't know how long you want to hold on to this thing as long as it keeps going down here, but if you do not own Digibyte, I would wait until it hits above, I'd say 42 cents before this is making a new high. Getting above the 200-day moving average would be good as well too. So that's right now we're seeing a lot of the same things on just about every chart. So let's see, Saffron came in here. So somebody was talking about Saffron. Let's take a look at Saffron. And this can be very dangerous because just looking at this chart, what you're seeing is an extremely illiquid. There's not a lot of liquidity for this asset. And you can tell when there's a lot of gaps, there's a lot of missing information that's in here, or when you just see days like this where it's almost acting like a mutual fund, there's just no trading. You want to see active liquid trading. Otherwise, you have an asset that could be easily manipulated one way or the other. Very, very dangerous to own something like this if you have any kind of stops outlined for this. This is still in a pretty serious downtrend. So right now I'm not interested in acquiring this. And at one point this was extremely expensive, right? But has come back down to about 100. Again, I'm not going to sit here and judge the merits of the business plan behind this. I'm just looking at what the market thinks about its forward business products or prospects based on what the price discovery is showing. And right now, they're fairly bearish on it. So until that changes, until we start to see some accumulation, I would avoid this one. Don't take it personally. We're just looking at the price action. Okay, QNT, which is quant versus tether. Kind of the same deal, kind of the same, you know, what we're running into here is we're running into a little bit of a consolidation pattern. And I want to see this break above 160 before I would consider any kind of accumulation on that. Okay, let's see. Have I caught up? Let's see. There's a crab ADA or something like that. Crabata. Okay. Maybe we'll change this to something else. We'll add another consonant in there. This one's still in a pretty serious downtrend with lower highs, lower lows. I would wait until this breaks this trend line, right? It's just a simple filter, guys. We don't need to make trading very difficult. Just acquire assets that are going higher in price. As long as this is going lower in price, let it do so and let it show you first before it is going to start being accumulated, because it's going to break above this trend line and it's going to put in some kind of higher low, higher high combination like that. It'll run like this, like a zigzag. And when it does so, you can either buy it on the breakout or buy it on the pullback. But for right now, let it do its thing. Okay, I'm going to look at the list here. Let's see. What do we got? What do we got? Roger is asking for STG. Let's see if we can find STG. Some of these I can't find. This is Stargate Finance. Let's use Tether. Oof. Oh boy. Okay. This one is pretty serious downtrend. Kind of, guys, I'm going to be saying the same thing again and again here. I'm going to be laying on this trend line. And as long as this is making lower highs and lower lows, I'm going to let it do its thing and let it bottom out. Find where support is, where demand exceeds supply, and we'll find out where that is when it starts to break above these lower highs. So you can see this almost like a sawtooth, like this. When it does something like this, this is going to form a trend line. And the way to get past that is wait till it breaks out and starts to change that polarity, that movement. Oh, hey, Roger. We got a really cool movie coming out here in the States, which is called The Northman. So we'll be thinking of you, bud. All right, MIG checker. We're going to look at, what is that, Glimmer? I don't know what this is, a GLMR. Okay, so this is interesting because this is starting to move. Okay, this shows some potential here. This shows some potential. It's not getting destroyed. It's starting to work itself higher. This might be a higher low and it may not be. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to turn out to be a lower high, roll over and just puke from here, or whether it's going to go higher from here. So the way that you can avoid getting, sucked into this drama is just wait till it breaks above 6. So that's GLMR versus Tether. But starting to improve and the volume starting to come in, which is good to see. So it's got some potential here. Everything's got potential, right? All right, let's see. EWT. Versus the US dollar. Okay, this one also is starting to show some signs of life. What I would do with this one is, I would have the same comments. Like, I would say, if this is able to hold this higher low and break above here, then I'd be long just above 650. So right now, let it play out because we don't know if this is going to turn into a lower high, roll over, and vomit once again. We don't know that. We'd like for this to go higher, but let it prove to you that it earns your investing capital, right? So the volume is not great right now on EWT. That's on Kraken, so there may be different exchanges for that. Hey, Tig, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, let's see. RUNE. Who's RUNE? Let's see. Marcos. Marcos is looking for RUNE. Okay. This one, oh, this is Thorchain. Okay, so that is our... So we still have an aggressive buy down here. We're still on board with this one. And this one is actually looking pretty good to hold this. What I'd like to see, and this would be good for like the RSI Laguerre, because we're seeing the RSI Laguerre build up a lot of energy at this point. So there's a high degree of energy. This is coming off the 200-day moving average. This looks pretty good for support, right? And we're seeing an RSI hook at this point. So this looks like a long signal. And Marcos is, dude has got an eye spotting these things. So we'd still be long off the aggressive buy down here for Thorchain and held the stop on here. So this would be the conservative buy for this one. So this looks pretty good. Now, what I would say is, like, if this fails up here, if this fails and goes back down in the pattern, then I would say out, get out, get out, get out. If this fails, and that's going to be about 750. If it fails at support level, 750, get out. But I like this one. This one looks good to challenge the highs again. Okay, Josh, that's more of a MAV question. Let's see, try an FTX. That's all right. Same chart. Okay, MOVR. Let's go. Next one is MOVR. Oh boy. We are, yeah, everything looks like this though right now. I mean, it's like, don't take this the wrong way, but a lot of these are, now these can flip around very quickly because this is off of a higher low. Here's the lower low. This is a higher low, and this would be an immediate change in polarity back up to an uptrend. And we are starting to get some spikes of volume. So this is the old green shoots that they used to talk about. So for this one, I would not touch unless it's able to break into highs above 90. I'd let it do its thing, let it bottom out, let it decide how low it wants to go. But it looks like demand is coming in here, at least on, this is Binance I'm looking at. Demand is starting to come in on this coin. So this may be putting a floor on here. So the next move may be short squeeze. You know, because what happens is the shorts say, oh, well, let's go short. You know, they Google getting short on a coin and they get short way too late in the pattern. And then they have to cover by buying back. So that's what you're looking for, is the short squeeze above there. Okay, let's do a couple more and then we will let you go. Okay, somebody is discording me. Please don't discord me. Okay, we're going to go ape versus tether. And this one looks good. Look at this volume coming in there. Who found this one? Tig, you're a madman. Look at you. This is a good looking chart. And that's a nice move on big volume. That's pretty good. Okay, so this would be an immediate buy right there at 15. That is a transition into an uptrend right there at 15-ish. Okay, so that's good. I like that one. Ape is doing what its name implies. Okay, let's do a couple more here. This is Chris is asking for Algorand. And Algorand is moping around down in the sewer like most other coins. What I would do is I'd put this trend line in here and I would, I'd not look to do anything until it's able to break the trend line and maybe get above, I'd say about $1 versus Tether. About $1 for this one. Okay, next one is XCAD, and then this may be the last one for today. Okay, this one's got potential. We're starting to see some volume coming in here. As you might imagine, I would say probably wait until this thing gets about 450, because that's coming off a lower low. So I'd like to see this thing start to establish something of a trend. Right now, this is just another lower high until it can prove itself. So that's going to have to be above 450. That is very aggressive, though. Or you can wait until it breaks above 450 and next pullback. But don't get into it too late up here. If it just runs away, don't chase after it, because the market has a way of whack-a-moling these things back down again. Okay, I think we're good. All right, we're back to it here, guys. Thank you very much for all those coins and for our little session for this week. Thanks, everybody. Mav, what you got?
No, that was great.
Any closing thoughts?
I think we're in a little bit of a holding pattern with the markets right now. And I see that as an opportunity to look for how to get in on some of these projects that are going to be leading the next run up. So I think we're only in a good spot right now. But you know, this is 2022. It's already proven to be pretty unpredictable. So things can go any such direction. Hopefully we're on the right side of it. But regardless, I think that's what this community, this channel, that's what we're here to help and, you know, converse about. So if you are not part of our Discord, if you are a part of our Discord and you're messaging Doc, stop it. No,
he's good.
No, I'm kidding.
I figured out who that was. It's no big deal.
Yeah, but if you're not on our Discord, be sure to do so. It's free. It's down in the bio below, as well as some of our other communities out there. Doc leads ReadySetTrade, which is an excellent place to learn how to become a better trader. Definitely needed in this day and age, I think. But yeah, if nothing else, thanks so much for hanging out with us, guys. Hope you're doing well out there, and we will see you next week, bright and early or bright and late. I don't know. Next Wednesday. But until then, take care out there, guys. We'll see you then. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Cheers.